Let's go to some quick numbers we have here. This is a race that we've been watching in Dallas County. This is to succeed the outgoing Eddie Bernice Johnson, longtime Congresswoman who is retiring. This is Jasmine Crockett. She is the Democrat running for the seat against the Republican James Rogers. This is the early vote right now for U.S. Representative District 30. This is essentially downtown Dallas and points south, encompassing all of Dallas County, southern Dallas County. Jasmine Crockett, of course, was essentially hand-selected by Congresswoman Johnson to succeed her, and she has 68% of the vote. This is not a surprise. This is a Democratic district, Bernadine.
No, it's not a surprise. And she did extremely well in the primary. So it's not a surprise at all. And she had a number of opponents, and she barely missed having that race without a runoff.
And the other big local race we're watching, too, is the Dallas County District Attorney's race. This is a competitive race here because it's Faith Johnson, the former DA, running again against John Creuzot. Both are former judges here. John Creuzot is the incumbent now in this rematch from 4 years ago. This is the early vote. And the early vote shows that Creuzot is doing pretty well here. He's a Democrat in a Democratic county, and he has 61% of the vote so far, ahead of Judge Faith Johnson. Does that surprise anybody here? Because I expected this race to be a tad bit closer, at least in the early vote, if that's going to suggest how the night goes.
I'm surprised it's not a wider margin. I mean,
really?
Yeah, certainly. Dallas County has been solidly Democrat for many cycles, almost a decade now. And Creuzot's done a good job. I mean, look, he's been very effective. And Faith, of course, was here during the time that Abbott appointed her, but since then has not really been recognized by a number of voters. And this margin, I think, is important. I think the other one to watch is our race for county commissioner, Clay Jenkins versus Angela.
County judge.
County judge.
Lauren Davis.
Lauren Davis. And that will tell us, too. If those numbers are the same, that'll tell us what's happening all across Dallas County.
Let's bounce back to Tarrant County here briefly. We have the race for the district attorney's office in Tarrant County. Bud's already pointing to this. Phil Sorrells versus Tiffany Burks. And this is a much closer race there. This is the early vote in Tarrant County. Judge Sorrells, 53% versus Tiffany Burks, who I believe she was the first assistant. Is that right?
First assistant prosecutor, prosecuted a lot of gang crime in Tarrant County.
She was the number 2 at the office there, and this is a very close race, a 6-point race right now with the early vote.
All these in Tarrant County are running 6 points. Let's keep running.
Does this suggest anything to you, Bud, about what we might see with the county judge race or with the governor's race?
We see the county judge race is at about the same. It's about a 6-point margin right now with the early. The one, and we see it now 53-47, Tim O'Hare. So it's a 6-point margin in the early. The one surprise, or somewhat surprise maybe, is the Democratic commissioner seat that we talked about right now. Right. The Democrat in that race, if that'll come up, Alyssa Simmons has a 4-point lead in that county commissioner's race.
Before we get to the commissioner's race, let's talk about this one here for a moment, because this is a pretty important race. Tim O'Hare is wanting to succeed, along with Deborah Peoples, want to succeed Glenn Whitley, the retiring outgoing county judge there, a Republican there. Judge Whitley, a Republican, would not endorse in this race. Tim O'Hare, of course, is the former mayor of Farmers Branch. He's the former chairman of the Tarrant County Republican Party. Deborah Peoples, civil rights activist. She worked for AT&T for years. She is the former chairwoman of the Tarrant County Democratic Party, and she's again running to for one of the top jobs in Tarrant County. This was supposed to be a close race all along, but I thought.
These are partisan activists, but when we talk about Tarrant County, you have to realize that Tarrant County has grown so much in the north half of the county. It's as if you took Collin County and patched it into the north half of Dallas County. You have so much suburban growth. There are more voters there who are in that deep red Republican half of the county than there are in Fort Worth and Arlington put together. And so you have a large Republican growth that has spread the Republican vote a little bit. I think a 6-point, and now we can start talking about whether a 6-point race is something you can overcome when 2/3 of the vote is here in this early outcome.
Bernadine?
You know what? I'm waiting to see the today vote, because they are close, but still, look how well Tim O'Hare did in the primary. So, he won that race against a very popular mayor.
Mayor Betsy Price from Fort Worth,
right? Betsy Price. So I'm very anxious to see the votes for today, especially if you had such a high turnout. And as we've said here tonight, it could be Republican, But I think that it's going to be very, very interesting to watch it.
In Tarrant County, there were 161,000 votes cast in 2018. We know as of about 6:45, there were 163,000 votes cast today on Election Day in Tarrant County. So that could be indicative of what happens on Election Day. You know, Bernadine, to your point there. If you're just joining us here, we're waiting on a lot of the early vote to come in. We've gone through a number of the local races. We're waiting on some of the statewide races too, as these counties start reporting their early voting results and their mail-in ballot results to the Secretary of State's office. We have a number of ways we're able to see kind of what's happening behind the scenes and report those numbers out to you. We'll check in with Jason Wheeler in just a moment as some of these numbers start popping up on the screen there. Domingo, are you surprised that we haven't seen anything yet from the Secretary of State's office? I mean, we all like to rush them here, but of course it's more about accuracy than speed.
Well, they might be working on voter integrity. You never know what the Republicans are up to there at the Secretary of State's office. But no, I think the fact that you got these polls being delayed in various counties, like in Harris County and others, I think Bell County you mentioned, they might be waiting to see those numbers before they give you a statewide data numbers. But I am looking at Tarrant County, going back to that, the fact that there's only a 23,000 vote difference between the 53 to 47, and that could be made up if there's a huge record turnout today. So
and the Tarrant County Judge
normally
race,
that would be insurmountable, like Bud said, but if there's a record turnout and it skews young and minority, it could offset it.